A blessed Advent to you all, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Pathways of Hope, Sunday Gospel Reflection on this beautifully painful passage in Matthew 11, 2 to 11. My name is Aldem Salvania, and if Advent were a person, very few would fit that description so aptly more than John the Baptist. Well, sadly, since childhood, I've merely associated John with people getting wet. What with the infamous water spraying feast of San Juan to crowds annually posted on media. Of course, John's significance in our faith is much, much more than that. Let me just mention a few of those outstanding characteristics. I rank John among the few heroes of faith whose entire life is single-heartedly dedicated to the service of the King. Many saints and Bible heroes have passed worldly lives, like my favorite Saint Ignatius, who was ambitiously a military officer, or Saul, a murderous Christian persecuting Jewish official. But our John is different. For straight from his mother's womb, he was already expressing his own divine excitement at meeting the equally fetal Jesus, I guess by kicking his mommy's tummy from within. And his ascetic lifestyle, highlighted by his fashion choice from the get-go, has been custom built for severe self-discipline and abstention from all forms of indulgence, as a precursor to the desert fathers and the hermits, with very meager diet. And he doesn't require going to any grocery at all, so that he could devote all of his time to preaching and baptizing people who repent for their sins. And that is for him a way of ushering in and announcing the coming of the one who is the whole world's longing for hope and salvation. And though he was feeling unworthy, John was requested by the Lord to baptize him up close and personal. And he has certainly had inside info about Christ that most people had no access to, as almost no one at that time had any clue regarding who Jesus really was. Simply put, John lived, breathed, walked, proclaimed nothing but the kingdom. And this is what really amazes me, because after all that lifelong closeness and divine insight into Jesus, our passage today begins with a confusing question that the imprisoned John wanted relayed to Jesus. And the question was, are you the expected one, or shall we look for someone else? Like, what? After all that privileged inside information into Jesus' secret identity, are you still unsure if Jesus is the one? Now, I'd like to pause here to say I am not criticizing John's lack of faith. Rather, I am making an observation about our human nature and the limits of our divine understanding. Whoever we are, for all humans do fall short of God's glory and are in bad need of His grace. Now, even the most devout like John, when pummeled by life's lockdowns, can cast moments of doubts on even his most deepest conviction. And that's why Jesus reminds us that blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me. Because when we use worldly, finite standards to determine what is important, we can, like the foolish builders, reject the stone of grace, which we short-sightedly regard as an obstacle to our plans, our dreams, and successes. Brothers and sisters, I am not proud to say that in my thoughts and actions, I have rejected Jesus many times. even as a disciple. Those are usually times when his truth opposes what I consider as momentarily freeing or comfortable or enriching or pleasurable, only to find that his truth, after all, is the cornerstone that alone can set us free, can set me free in many of those situations. The good news is that to stay connected to the Lord requires no special talent, intelligence, skill, position, or riches. And this is the very hallmark of John's claim to fame: his full surrender to serve God's kingdom and his work to prepare others to receive the Lord, even at the cost of his own comfort, worldly freedom, and life. So amazing and so inspiring for us, because God is so worth it. The good news, brothers and sisters, for all of us is that John does not have to stand alone, unmatched in this. For Jesus did add that whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. The divine standard is so counterintuitive to our human priorities, because we are all instinctively self-preserving, self-focused, and self-serving. That's why loving God is so simple, as it is also so difficult. He must become greater. I must become less. Many people, including me, are so competitive and would want to be first, and that's great. For us to go faster, go ahead. Stronger, yeah. Higher, improve our skill, go. But if you want to truly be ahead in the race to fullness of life, this is the task: to make God even greater in your life and to reduce one's self-conceit as you consider others as better and more important than your own life. To do this, brothers and sisters, we might need to really ask God, not only for the grace but also for the insight, by asking these two simple questions beginning this Advent. The first one: Lord, how do you want me to love you more? And the second one: Lord, who are you calling me to serve today? When I reflect on these questions, brothers and sisters, I get various inspired answers, which I did well to note. So here's a partial list of what I have captured, and I'm humbled to say that I have partially done about maybe 25-30% of them, and continue working joyfully to please the Lord as other missions come my way. I commit many oversights and failings, but God is merciful and patiently waits for me to do them. Now, if you want to study the list closer, feel free to just, pause this video. But as a close, this is what I'd just like to leave with you. These two questions. Bring them to prayer this Advent season, and may the season of grace allow you to focus more on God's love for you and provide you opportunities to spend time with Him and serve others. Brothers and sisters, if you have been blessed by this reflection, please share it with others, and do walk with God more closely this Advent, and also have an advanced, joyful Christmas for you and your loved ones. Go with God. God bless you all. Bye-bye.